Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm going to cover Algonquin Proventional Park in Ontario, Canada this time. I believe it's about 3 hours north of Toronto. And there's a major highway that runs through there called Highway 60. It does have some traffic. I shouldn't call it a major highway. It's got a little bit of traffic. There's two small towns on each end. On the west end is Dwight, where I stayed. And there's a few lodging options there, a convenience store that sells sandwiches, and a small grocery store, although the groceries are very limited, so you want to bring with you some things that you may be looking for. And on the other end is Whitney, which seems to be an even smaller town. I did see one motel there at least, and there's I know there's at least one, maybe two restaurants there also. So anyway, the main road that runs through the park, Highway 60, is open and well maintained all winter. I circled the three areas there on the map that I was focused on, or I guess four areas there. The first one being Mizzy Lake. That's the one furthest to the west, which is a nice hike. Took me about 4 hours to do it. And it goes across some lakes, and there's a little bit of ice there, so a pair of hiking spikes, if you have those for your shoes, would be helpful there. Along that trail I was able to see a red fox, otter, and snowshoe hare. Going a little bit further on, the next place that I looked was called Mew Lake. It's a campground, again, open all year long. You can either tent camp there, or you can rent a yurt or a cabin, both of which are heated. Those tend to book up a lot faster though, so you want to book those in advance. If you keep going down further, you'll eventually come to Spruce Bog and the Visitor Center. And I did try a couple of hikes in Spruce Bog, but I didn't have any luck finding anything there, although I did see tracks, so there are animals active in that area. Going down a little bit further, there's going to be a sign for a store on the left, which is called Openego Road. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that's right, but the best of memory. And that store is, I guess, only open in the summer. The road goes up to where there's a Y in the winter, and it's sort of closed there. But you can walk the road to the left, which is closed off. Or there's also a logging road. You don't want to drive up that because it is an active logging road with trucks coming down a frozen ice road. So, but you could walk up there if you're willing. Just want to move off to the side if you see any logging trucks start to come down. And that's sort of the lay of the land for Algonquin Proventional Park. Alright, so now we'll get into the animals. The first one I'm going to talk about is extremely common in the park, and that is the red fox. These photos are of a red fox I saw crossing a frozen lake. It was actually on the Mizzy Lake Trail. There was also a fox, unfortunately, with a very injured foot in the parking lot there. And the park staff is just wonderful. I contacted them, and right away they're getting a trap set up to deal with the fox. And obviously you can't hunt with a broken front paw. So, yeah, they're amazing. Even on a weekend, they got back to me and are taking care of that problem. So the foxes are present. Not only walking across the frozen lakes, people saw them crossing the road, although I didn't. At the trash cans, pretty much any of the trash cans, it seems like they're coming around early evening or into early night. But just extremely common everywhere I looked for them in the park. Next, we're going to talk about otters. Otters, again, extremely common in the park. This is probably the most otters I've ever seen anywhere without really even looking for them. On Mizzy Lake Trail, I saw a couple there fishing in a hole in the ice. At one point, I was just driving down the highway, and I noticed one, maybe a few feet off the highway, doing the same thing, fishing in ice. And on Openego Road, there's one that was there every morning at 9 a.m., maybe about a third or 40% up the way up the road before it Y's off. So if you're looking for river otter, this is definitely a good place to see them, and most of them allowed pretty close pursuit. What you can do, if you're afraid one might be a little bit skittish, is you can just wait until it's down fishing, and then you move forward until it's back up, And you just stay there, wait till it goes down in fishing again, and you move up closer and closer until you get the shot that you want. And probably no need to move closer than you need to. There's no need to really stress the animal, but you can get reasonably close to them without bothering them too much. And now we'll talk about some birds, and I'll tell you guys, I am not a bird expert, guys. So if I've gotten any of these wrong, let me know. But this first one appears to be a red crossbill, and you can see if you look at that bill, it looks pretty distinctive. These have an unfortunate habit of setting in the road, and I saw some had been hit, unfortunately. I found if you just honk your horn, they will move. So one, drive the speed limit so they have a chance to fly all the way, and two, just honk your horn a little bit before you get to them. That seems to work pretty well for getting them off the road. And the Canadian jays are really nice because they're pretty tame. In fact, you'll see people if you go up on Openego Road to where it goes to Y. There's a little parking lot there where people feed the birds, and you'll see people just hold their hand out with bird seed in it, and the Canada jays will land in their hand and take the seed. I was wearing a sock hat since it's fairly cold out and had chickadees even landing on my head. And here's something I saw at the Logging Museum, which I'm also told is an okay site for pine martens. There are some trash cans there. It's possible you might be visiting that, but you could also potentially see them in the forest. And the black woodpecker is also there, and I saw one of those. So this bird here, I believe, is called the evening grosbeak, and there were just tons of them anywhere that bird seed was being put out. It's a pretty cool looking bird. I enjoyed watching them. And now we come to one of the two stars of the park, in my opinion, which would be the wolves and the martens. And the martens are present in a number of areas in the park. I personally was able to observe them in three places. So at Mizzy Lake, I only saw them on my trail camera, but I did see another hiker who had taken a picture of one on the garbage can there. Openingo Road, I saw them in two different places, although the animals there were fairly skittish and would be harder to come by. And at Mew Lake, that's where the animals were the boldest and the most willing to come out in the public, although during the time I was there, it was still kind of hit or miss. For example, one person I know stood there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. one day and didn't see any. So It's a little bit hit or miss, but it's probably as easy a place to see a marten as almost anywhere. And beautiful species. Love to watch them climb around the trees and stuff, and just really entertaining to watch.